two. Good day, fellow deal makers. Welcome to the Deal Scout. Man, this show is so fun because we get to talk with deal makers ranging from lemonade stands all the way to SPACs and kind of everything in between that, talking about deals in general, and then sometimes specific goals and metrics and things you could do to learn from other deal makers. So today on this episode, we're going to learn about luxury homes, and we're going to learn about celebrity homes and some of the things that you may never have thought about when dealing with these kind of properties. So with that, Nathaniel from LA, right?
That's
Welcome to
right.
this welcome to the
Los
show,
Angeles,
man.
baby. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, I
Awesome.
love your mic there, by the way. I think it's the same one I have over here, actually.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's the short, right? Sure.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
I love this
The
mic.
one. Mm-hmm.
So it's like the baby version of what Joe Rogan uses. He uses the SM7 whatever, but you have to deal with the XLR crap and stuff. And this is a USB, man, so it works really well.
Yeah, it's a plug and play. I like it. Keep it simple, you know?
Keep it simple, absolutely. So,
Yeah.
Nathaniel, tell us a little bit about where you put your focus and what you do.
Yeah. So I'm here in LA, obviously. I sell some very unique homes in this area. And it's a pretty interesting backstory, and the backstory leads to where it is now. And so, I've taught in every level of school from preschool to college, except for first through fifth, because, why waste time? Uh, I had to do something.
Yeah.
So, oh, it's weird. Sorry, the lights just went out. But anyway, I taught in every level of school from first through fifth, and not first through fifth. And so everything was about education and what can I bring to the table, not what can I get from the situation,
Hmm.
right? So that's always been my mindset. And so, the that's so weird. You can still see me, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I can
Great.
see you.
Okay.
Did you
Terrific.
disappear over there?
Now the lights in this office, they're on motion sensors, so they went on and off, and I just want to make sure you can still see me.
So you got to do the interview while doing jumping jacks.
That's right. That's right.
To
That's the
keep lights
key.
on.
That would actually really change things up, right? Most people just sit here and talk to you. So this will be different.
I
But
provide a workout and interviews at the same time.
perfect. I love it. Right? It's nurtures the body and the mind.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah. So I've taught in every level of school, and I was finishing my master's degree, and I was getting offered all these great jobs and things, and I thought, this is I'd rather die than do any of these things. And so I literally had done, with 3-year program in like 1.5 years, straight A's, and I just dropped it. And I went, okay, I have to really figure out what it is that I want to do. Like, what will I enjoy doing? Right. And so I took the desire to help people. Right. And with real estate, it's either the largest financial decision of their life or a big one, because for celebrities and um, a lot of the CEOs and people who I work with, a lot of the more unique clients, it's definitely not their biggest purchase by far, but it's still a big purchase, because if it's where they live, it affects their lifestyle every day. And if it's not where they live, it's still a big financial vehicle and a great tool and an asset class. So
Hmm.
there's that. And then I also, like, my guilty pleasure was Zillow and studying the values of homes and things like that at night. And then I had studied why people move and where they move and what makes them move and the psychology of moving. So I came to the table of real estate from a different perspective. It's not transactional. It's not about price per square foot. It's not even about price. It's about your lifestyle. It's about um, how it makes you feel, right? And so I've based everything through a tuning, though, with people. So, Chris Voss calls it um, tactical, tactical empathy. Mark Golson calls it listening in. Uh, in some books I've read, it's called finding the flow with your clients. One of my favorite clients calls it just the vibe. If you feel the vibe with somebody, then you're good, right? And if I
Yeah.
don't feel the vibe, then I'm out, right? So the key with creating relationships with people, especially on the higher level where money is not an issue. Uh, it's all about that relationship because that's your value, right? So creating that deeper relationship, going deep with people is your inherent value. Otherwise, you're just like everybody else. You're replaceable. You can be bought and sold, but that relationship becomes your currency. And so I've always based everything in my business about first creating a relationship with people, then assessing if we have a flow, and then maybe we work together. But through that, building that relationship, I'm establishing authority in the space. I'm establishing that I'm an expert in that I have expertise in the space, right? And
Mhm.
I'm establishing that I do know what I'm talking about and that I care about your outcome.
Super cool.
So,
So with this, right? So you were
yeah.
going to school to be a teacher and get into educational, and at some point you're like, oh heck no, I want to get more into, you know, in high end properties, in luxury properties, working with celebrities. How in the world did you go from did you make that transition, right? How did you get your first, you know, big house deal or listing or, you know, because that's a pretty big jump there.
Yeah. And it was a very interesting path that I took, but it really all was the core of wanting to help people and working with my sphere,
Hmm.
right? And started it with social media about 12 years ago. I didn't really people weren't really using social media for marketing, but I was organically on there with my friends when I started in real estate because I'm like, well, I don't have any business, I don't have a lot of money, but I have time. So I'll just what do people do? I guess I'll pop on here. And then I organically found that I was finding deals that way. And the deals started to flow. And I'm like, well, I bet I could probably um, hone this in. And if I was intentional about it, I could actually create intentional deals and a system that would create more deals. So it was about building the relationships. And then from my sphere, I met more and more people and had already built that authority with those people. So that was one level. And then I also have a system where I really believe we should focus on our strengths,
Hmm.
right? In life, we need to focus on our strengths and then hire people for everything else. That's one of my secret sauces. Focus on your strength, hire people for everything else. And so one of the things I'm really good at was when I meet people in person, right? Everything we do is really driving to meet people in person. I mean, the other day I went to go buy a car, and the car dealer, who literally was just walking by in the showroom, and I said, "Hey, do you work here?" He turns around, he goes, "Hey, wait a minute, I know you." I went, What do you mean you know me? I've never met you before in my life." He goes, "You're the real estate guy. I've seen you on your Instagram." Right. So
Ah.
it's all about building those relationships and maximizing their sphere, right? But
Hmm.
so then when I meet people, I always have a few things in my mind of how I can drive the conversation to real estate so I can immediately start to build that top of mind awareness with people. So I always have three things where I can drive where I need to go. So one of them is a current event. Everybody wants to know where's the market, right? Everybody asks you, where's the market? Where's the market? So you have that in there. Then you have when some interesting fact like about a cool house. Everybody wants to know that. And then the third one I switch out to be, it could be a current event. It could be a new law that's passed. It could be something that affects them on a daily lifestyle level. And
Hmm.
so whenever I meet people, I'm immediately starting to build that top of mind awareness. So a lot of the celebrities and CEOs and more unique clients that I have built I've built through time by just becoming the authority in the space and building that deep relationship with them, right? So that's the unique thing. Like years ago, I had a giant celebrity who was referred to me, the first one, really, the first of like the big celebrities. And they told me, okay, so um, it was a referral. Here's the phone number. This is who to call. Da 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 da. Great. So I was like, I was nervous, I wanted to establish that I was, a professional, right? Because in my head, I knew I had never dealt with someone like that, but they didn't know
Right.
that. And I wanted to make sure they knew that I had dealt with them
Right. Be
before.
professional, keep it cool, don't
Right.
freak out when you see them, right? That all that
Exactly.
stuff was going through your head.
And so I call and, basically every rule of thumb and everything I've ever built was out the window. So I said, hello, how are you? Great, terrific. So how much do you want to spend, and how are you going to fund this? Is it a cash, or is it cash or card? No, is it cash or a loan, or how are you going to do it? And they just hung up,
Oh, geez.
and that was it. I never heard from them again,
Yeah.
and I lost them forever. And it's because I didn't follow my own rules, which is I know you have to build a deep, authentic relationship and attune with someone before you get to the transaction,
You have to get in the
especially
flow,
with that
right?
higher end.
Like you
Exactly. It's
say.
the flow.
It's
You got to
flow.
get in the flow. You got to get in the vibe. You got to get the empathy, the attunement, right?
Yeah.
Back when I used to be a behavior therapist for children with disabilities and, mainly autism and different things. So it's perception disability. So they perceive the world differently. So the key to doing that job effectively is attuning. So that way you build that relationship, and then there's a trust and a comfort level. And that's the same across the board with anything you do. You need to build that trust, that comfort level, and achieve the flow or the vibe.
Yeah. I we'll have through the podcast show, you meet some cool people, and first of all, people are people. Some just have a few more commas in their bank account or a
Right?
few more followers than you or a little bit more famous, but people are people, generally speaking. There's some
Mm-hmm.
absolute whack jobs out there at every level. We all, can see that. But people
When
are
they're
people,
when they're on
right?
the higher end, they're called eccentric. When they're low, they're called crazy.
That's right. The difference between crazy and eccentric is how much money do you have, right?
That's right. Exactly.
So, like one of the things that like when we're meeting a high net worth individual or a high profile client, like I have to tell some of my team and even myself, like, hey, dude, they're normal people. Don't freak out, right?
Exactly.
But it's cool. And then once you, because if you go straight to the, all right, tell me about your property, how much you want to spend, how much, you just became a commodity because anybody can literally do that, right?
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
All right, I'm jibing with you. We're getting in the flow ourselves here.
There you go.
So
I'm liking it.
I like it too. Don't forget to do jumping jacks so your lights don't go out in your motion sensor office
Right.
or whatever that is, right?
And then somehow they went back on. I don't know what happened.
So all right, so you lost your first big deal. You had a phone call with this big celebrity, and how much you want to spend? How are you going to pay for this? Blah blah blah. Click. When that happened, what went through your mind? What happened? What was the next 2 minutes? What did that look like?
Well, after the silent scream of, oh my God, what just happened? I went, okay. And then some more screaming. But then after that, I was able to calm down. I went, okay, so I need to operationally think about this and make sure that never happens again.
Yeah.
And how do I do that? By having a more intentional plan when I talk to everybody, and not letting your emotion outweigh the logic of any situation. That's the problem, right? And that the gift of working with your passions, right?
Yeah.
Because when you're doing something out of passion, it's literally like you are drunk, and very often the logic is either in the back end or completely left off the equation.
Hmm.
So when you're excited, it's good to be excited in business, and it's good to, that's how you generate like really cool big deals. But at the same time, you have to stay very operational and organized about it, because otherwise you're going to mess it up just like that.
Yeah.
Right. And like, so I
Operational
have
passion.
checklists. What's that?
Operational passion.
Operational passion. That's exactly right. Because if you're just working off passion, you're like a drunk person, and you're going to miss a lot of good things. And if you're just working off operational, you're never going to build any relationship with anybody, and you're going to lose everything. You're going to lose every deal. So it has to be a healthy mix. Operational passion. I think that's the perfect way to put it.
We'll trademark it together. It's
There you
now a
go.
thing.
TM.
That's right. That's right.
Yes.
So, all right. So after screaming first time, second
Right.
time, and you're like, okay, I like this field. I like this group of people. I like these type
Mhm.
of properties, luxury properties, celebrity properties. Talk to us about deal number two.
Yes. So that was the first referral of a big celebrity. I
Uh-huh.
had a few people who I just naturally through referrals had worked with. So I'm like, okay, I know how to do this, right? I already know I have the skill set. But now when I meet somebody, how do I make sure within 30 seconds or less, ideally, they instantly know that I know what I'm talking about, I'm trustworthy, and I'm building a relationship with them,
Mm-hmm.
right? So um, one of my clients and later business partners, he's a huge celebrity, and he goes, I was doing, it was the beginning of the pandemic, and people were just kind of figuring out the Zoom thing back then. And I got caught in traffic, and so I had to hop on a Zoom in my car. And he goes, I wouldn't do that. I said, well, why not? Like, it's me. I'm here. I want to attend. He goes, within 10 seconds, I want everybody else on our call to know that you're the man, right? That you know what you're doing. You're a professional. You're awesome and the guy, right? And part of that is nonverbal, and part of it's verbal, right? But I would kind of forget the nonverbal because I was so used to being on the phone. But so after this time that, after I stopped screaming after the big call, I went, okay, I need to be able to do it verbally within 10 seconds, right? So I created a new way to guide that conversation when I meet people so that they know that I know what I'm talking about, but I'm building a relationship with them and asking them questions about themselves because in essence, what is the best conversation you've ever had?
Best conversation I ever had. I mean, logically, it's a someone asking me about me and they want to know more about me and they're interested. But
Exactly.
maybe with my kids, I've got a really cute set of kids, so they're fun to chat with sometimes.
Well, kids are amazing. That's a completely different, amazing space of
Yeah.
human there.
Yeah.
But in essence, I created a system where I ask leading questions about them, but that are working in things that I've done or knowledge that I have of the space. So that way they're like, oh, instantly, I like this person and they know what they're talking about
Yeah.
without me having to be transactional. And then I kind of guide them to answer the questions that I want to be asking. So it
Yeah.
comes up in the conversation.
Super cool. All right, so you gotta maybe we role play this, or maybe yeah, maybe would you feel comfortable maybe role playing like let's pretend I'm big celebrity. I'm not, but let's just pretend for a second, and maybe you could walk us through some tips and tricks on how to deal with a high profile person. Are you okay with that?
Sure, sure.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we'll just do a quick one, right? So now the phone rings. The first time you went, name your price, name your this, name your that,
Yeah, yeah.
click, right?
That was the wrong choices. Yeah.
So now I got your or you got my number. You call me up. What does that
Mhm.
typically look like? Take us through what it feels calling a list celebrity.
All right. What's your A-list celebrity name? That's the first thing. Very important.
The Jewish Hammer, probably, or Josh.
Hamer. All right. All right. Okay. Hello.
Hey, this is Josh. What's up, man?
Oh. Hey, Josh. This is Nathaniel Getzels. How are you?
Hey, man. I'm pretty awesome. Thanks for asking.
Oh, my pleasure. You know, Jacob mentioned I should give you a call. Him and I were in a gorgeous house the other day up on Bel Air Ridge. I don't know if you know it. It's called the Odyssey House. It has a really cool uh, basketball court and stuff in it. We were just having fun and looking at gorgeous homes. And he mentioned, you might be looking to, you might have some questions in the space. So, he said you're the man, so I should give you a call. Is there something you have any questions in the real estate space?
Ah, super cool. All right, so pause. I love this already because what you did is you said so and so gave me your contact information, told me to give you a call. We're at a house. You're bringing it into real estate. He said you're interested in maybe making a move, dude. Nice work. See
Yeah,
that was the cool flow right there. I didn't
it was,
feel freaked out. I mean, I'm not a
yeah.
celebrity too, but
Well, also, I
good
wasn't
job.
trying to sell you anything, was I? I was
Uh-uh.
just saying, hey, can I help? Like, is there some way I can help you? Right?
Yeah.
I'm not trying to sell you. I'm not trying to find out, how much money you want to spend. You want to buy some, you want to sell some. You just have a question. I'm here. I'm a resource, right? I'm a value for you,
Yeah.
right? I could make your conversation with somebody else more interesting.
Cool.
You know
That's
what I mean?
cool, man. Yeah, and
So
that's so good, and that could be used not only just for celebrity, but like people can use that same method just for any connection of human being.
well, here's another one. Hey, yeah, so I just saw I just met you at the car wash there, and I was just on this great show called The Deal Maker. And we were talking about how to make deals in the real estate space, and you were mentioning, I saw you were looking at that magazine about homes, and if you need any help with making any deals in the future, or if you have questions in the space, I've got you covered. Whatever you need, maybe I could provide value for you,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, super cool, man. Yeah, good job on that, man. It's the flow and the vibe, and you didn't jump straight to a deal. You didn't jump. You're just like, hey, someone said you had an interest. What do you want to know? What do you want to do? Like,
Right.
let's figure out a conversation. So, all right, I'm sure everybody in the world has been asking you these kind of things. Like, are there groups of people that you could say, yeah, I've worked with this group or this person or I did this. Like, are you allowed to share some of the name? Because I know there's confidentiality. Uh,
Yeah, that's the thing is it's so ironic actually about that because there's so many NDAs and different things you have to sign, and sometimes you don't even know the things you're allowed to say or not. But it's funny because then usually, and I'm suspecting it's their own teams, but who knows, the information gets leaked out there, and then you're seeing the house that you just sold, or the client you just worked with just bought this house, just bought that house, and you're like, that's the house, that's what I did, that I just did that, but you can't tell anybody you did it, right? So this
right.
just happened actually with a pretty big celebrity where I sold a house and I had to sign all these NDAs, and I couldn't say anything, and then all of a sudden on all the websites all my friends are sending me, hey, look who just bought a house in your neighborhood, or look at this great house, hey, isn't that looks like the house you just sold, isn't that the house you just sold? And so what I do is I just try to market the house more
Yeah.
than anything, because people aren't dumb, they will figure it out sooner or later,
Yeah.
right? And like some of the people I've worked with, I have to sign NDAs, but like we can post pictures together, or I do other projects with them, so I can post those things, and then people just kind of figure out, well, if you're doing that project, you're probably working over there, that sort of thing.
So you're allowed
you
to
know
share with us who you've taken pictures with. Just
well,
kidding. Don't do that, man. I don't want to
yeah,
get you in a bind. But all
I'll
right.
be in a legal bind there, but like some of the people I've worked with that I am allowed to talk about, like he's one of the biggest now business leaders, and he used to run Universal Music, right? Jay Samit. He's a
Cool.
great guy, and he actually, um, I just talked to him for years. We built a deep relationship, friendship, and he has great business books out there, probably the best business books on the market, some of them.
Yeah.
And one day he just calls me and he goes, hey, so you've been telling me all this great information about real estate for years, and I'm ready to make a move. Like, do you think it's the right time? Do you think how should I do this? And that's one of the really cool, unique things that people forget is, people are the expert in their fields, right? And they could be the top musicians, um, or CEOs or board members, or built billion-dollar companies, but when it comes to real estate, they want you to be the expert because you are the expert. That's the
Mhm.
point of having you, right? That relationship and your expertise is your currency, right? Otherwise, we're the commodity. We go right back to being a commodity. And it's
Yeah.
absolutely so important to remember that. So, when people call you for information, don't be shy about it, right? If it's good, great. But if it's bad, you need to deliver it just as well as if it's good, right? It's kind of
Yeah.
like that doctor that has to give you the bad news. They just need to give it to you. Don't try to dance around it. You just need to go straight for that information.
Yeah. So as you're doing this, what are some of your dreams and aspirations in in real estate and in your career?
Well, I want to build enough people where they can make. I want to teach at least 200 people how to make $100,000 a month through passive income through real estate. And now that's a combination. Like I do a lot of stuff in the STR space, which is short-term rentals,
Hmm.
right? I'm on the board of a company that just launched called Houselet, which is kind of a mix of, if you think of Zillow and Airbnb having a baby, and then they focus in 30 to 90-day furnished rentals, but it literally simplifies the rental of any house. It's with a few click solution. Just like if you think about the way you would rent something on Airbnb, but it's a beautiful furnished house, right? And maybe you're there 6 months. So that's something that's interesting. I wanted that to grow and see that. But I'd like to help people make $100,000 a month, which is not as hard as you think for most people. Because if you just get 10 projects that make you $10,000 a month,
Hmm.
you're there. And now
Yeah.
before you get out of bed, you've made $1.2 million before you're even out of bed at the beginning of the day, right? Which allows you to then do a lot more of your passion projects and do more interesting things in the business, because now you can take risks and can
Hmm.
do fun things and you can do bigger projects, right?
Yeah. Totally.
So that's one goal. The other goal is build my own team of super agents here in LA, right? That's actually a project I'm working on right now. I just added someone awesome. And part of that is I have to convince them, not convince them, but I don't want to convince them to be on the team. I get called by people all the time
Hmm.
to be on the team, and I usually talk them out of it. So, there's a series of books you have to read, and then a series of interviews you have to go through. And then finally I'm like, okay, just convince me what you're going to bring to the table. Right.
Hmm.
So that's another goal. And then I'd love to see Houselet grow exponentially. And then I'm doing a lot in the STR space. So I want to end up having STR properties in almost every country. Right now, I have them in one, two, three, 4 countries. I haven't been to 2 of the countries though.
Super cool, man.
Yeah,
So as you're doing this, as you're building out, you want to teach 200 people to create 100K a month in real estate income. You're building. You're on the board for a tech company that's kind of like the Zillow meets Airbnb. They have a baby.
that's
Hopefully,
right.
it's a really cute baby,
It's a
right?
really pretty baby, a really pretty baby. Yeah.
Yeah, cute baby sounds like. And then building a team of super agents in LA. Like, how do you keep balance, right? So you say in your world, you focus on your strengths, hire out all the weaknesses. How do you keep balance, and how do you keep yourself from when those other tasks and the weaknesses start to creep in? How do you guard yourself from just diving in and doing that kind of work?
Um, Discipline. It's hard because I am kind of like a control, not control freak, but I know I can do the thing the best way,
Hmm.
right? And so like I have somebody that does the paperwork side for me, right? I
Hmm.
have someone that does the pre-escrow and during escrow and post-escrow, right? 2 different people, because I don't really love that part of the deal.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Me
I'm
either.
good at it and I know it, and I know it better than a lot of agents. A lot of agents, it turns out, don't read the contract very often, actually, which is weird, but you can benefit by knowing that.
Yeah.
Um, in fact, I've got somebody $80,000 off their house simply because the agent never read the contract.
Nice.
And so, I wrote in all the furniture. And then when it came down to the time that we were going to release contingencies, or no, we were doing the final walkthrough, I'm sorry, all the furniture was gone. And I called the agent and I said, hey, the furniture's gone. Got to bring it back. It's in the contract. And he goes, oh, well, I never knew that. I'm like, well, it says it in the contract on page 4 or whatever it was. He goes, well, I didn't read past page 2. That's where all the amount of the money and the length of the
Wow.
escrow was. Nobody reads past there, do they? I'm like, well,
They're
so my
supposed
client
to.
was very happy because they
Yeah.
got a huge discount on the house. They
Yeah.
really, funny enough, they really just wanted 2 pieces in that entire house. They wanted this like bullhead thing and this weird picture, but that they didn't know that. Like
Yeah.
the sellers didn't know that. And in the contract I'd written, I want all the furniture. And I figured we would negotiate that, but they never did. So came down to the end, and well, my clients were very happy, let's just say.
Yeah. So,
So, but yeah, having systems, you have to build in systems and then stick to them,
yeah.
right? So I built in that system that, great, I get a deal. Okay, now I call her and I say, hey, you're going to go write up this deal, right? And then I pass it along. So creating repeatable, dependable systems that work, and then depending on your systems, right?
Mhm.
So you have to create a dependable system and then depend on the system.
I like that. Create a dependable system, then depend on the system.
That's right.
You know how many systems I've created that just wound up sitting on the shelf somewhere?
I do. I
You
do
have to
because
actually use it, right?
yes, exactly. People always ask me like, what's the most effective marketing, right, that you do? And I always tell them the most effective marketing for you will be the marketing you do,
Yeah.
right? Whatever you do consistently is the thing that's going to work for you. So if you have a system but you don't use it, it's not going to work. But if you have a dependable system that you depend on systematically, you're good to go.
Yeah.
So you have to create systems that you actually use and that work. And then you have to be able to assess those systems. So if something changes, as things always do, you can adjust it accordingly.
That's cool, man. All right. So, fun question. Well,
Yeah.
in my brain, it's fun. We'll see if it's fun or not. You and I are sitting down having coffee and
This
in
has been a
LA.
super fun podcast, by the way. I'm having a ball.
Thanks,
Just
man.
saying.
And your lights
Yeah,
are still on, so you're getting exercise. You're doing interviews. We're having fun. We're in the
exactly.
flow. I like it. All right. So,
Cruising.
yeah, man, we're cruising. All right. So we're having a coffee together, and someone shows up and they want to buy some real estate, and we get to work on a deal with someone, and
Right.
they could be living or someone from the past, but it's
Mhm.
someone that you've like would dream like if I could work with that person, it'd be a dream come true. It could be someone of the past, someone of the present. Who is that person that
Ah,
we're going to do a deal with?
wow. What are we
Musician,
doing?
celebrity, anything.
What are we doing for the where are we in the deal? Are we one of the principals? Are we an agent? Where are you and I in this deal? Are we on
Got
the
it.
same side? Are we on different sides? I need to know more information.
Okay, cool. So I'll set the stage. All right. So
Okay.
so you and I, I'm now an investor with you. So we're doing
Okay.
some deals and we're building this kick-ass team of agents in LA. I've invested in the tech company and we're hanging out and someone came up and they said, "Hey, I know you, Nathaniel. I saw you on Instagram. You're the luxury house person. I want to do a deal with you. I need help finding a house." So that sets the stage.
Okay. Okay. So they want to help finding a house.
Yes.
Okay. So I would choose one of 2 people.
Okay.
And the first one is Bob Hope, because people don't realize this, but Bob Hope owned an insane amount of real estate here in LA. And one of the reasons that there's like Amundsen Ranch and all these huge swaths of land that are open now for our enjoyment, right? That it isn't just built over for miles and miles of homes, that we have some of the biggest, LA has the biggest green space to urban border of any other city in the country. And that's partially because Bob Hope and some of his friends own so much real estate, and they strategically bought it in different places,
Mm.
just huge swaths of land that are iconic even to this day, even though most people don't know that uh, he owned it previously,
That's
right?
cool.
So
Yeah.
that's one of the reasons. That's one of the two people. And then um, that there's been some very large historic property owners in LA, right?
Yeah.
And like some the guy who used to own the Reyes Adobe here in Calabasas, actually, which funny enough, the Reyes Adobe, uh, sorry, the Leonis Adobe house in Calabasas is the oldest house in Hollywood, even though it's in Calabasas, right? Because it was originally built in Hollywood, and then at night they put it on a truck one day and took it to Calabasas
They
and moved
stole
it
the
over.
house or they intentionally moved it?
He moved it because he wanted to be. I think he sold the property in Hollywood that it sat on, and he wanted it to be on his property here in Calabasas.
Oh, super cool. All right, so
Yeah, but they did it without, back then they just did it at night, so nobody knew it was happening, right? They just wanted to move it.
let's just
So
move this house. It's
just listen. Well, back in the day they could do that. It was his name was Miguel Leonis,
so
and
you
he owned hundreds of properties here in LA that were all, you know, like a little patchwork throughout everything, and nobody really knows. He was kind of an unsung big owner. He married a Native American woman, and so he was kind of shunned. But he owned so much he couldn't be that shunned. So it was very interesting. But I think he'd be an interesting guy to work with because I'd love to know how he chose this little patchwork of properties. There was hundreds of them throughout LA.
super cool. All
Yeah,
right, so the next question to that's awesome, man. I think that'd be a lot of fun, man. I'd love to hear the stories from like Bob Hope and being
yeah,
an old timer in Hollywood and getting to see all the seeing it grow, man. That would be that good choice
right.
on that. Nice work.
Thank you,
Um,
thank you.
what coffee shop would we be visiting?
We would be visiting 10 Speed Coffee.
Okay, 10 Speed Coffee. Cool.
Yeah, it's there's one here in Calabasas and there's one in Santa Monica. It's pretty spectacular. Yeah.
Okay. So when I come there and that's where we'll go for coffee together.
We'll
My,
sit
my
over the
trip.
creek, which
Yep.
actually the creek that the one in here it's built next to in Calabasas, it was written by Louis Balboa. And you know that this was the creek that he wrote about because it's one of the only creeks in California that runs away from the ocean.
Huh.
So they built this coffee shop. It's part of a coffee shop and restaurant that sits on this creek that is a historic creek that was written about by one of the original explorers of California.
Wow, that's cool, man. That's cool.
Yeah.
Let's do this. Uh, for people who want to connect with you and
Oh,
maybe
yeah.
learn that process of, hey man, I'm in real estate. I would love to get 100K a month in reoccurring revenue, passive income, using maybe some short-term rentals or some technology. Where could I learn more about that? That sounds interesting to me.
Well, the best place, the main place is Getzels Group and Instagram. It's called at Getzels Group is my handle. Getzels Group, Group. That has my phone number, my email, everything. Probably my blood types on there at this point. The internet has it all, right?
Yeah,
So,
they have it all.
so I'm in there. So that's the best. Or call me directly, email me, text me, or Instagram is the best though. Those are the best ways to get me.
Sounds good. Now, when it comes to celebrity homes, short-term rentals, I'm sure we could probably have a good long conversation about short-term rentals. That might have to be a future episode. But when it comes to celebrity homes and getting into the flow of clients and building actual relationships and not being a commodity-driven agent, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
What questions should I have asked you, or what's one more point that you want to share with us before we say goodbye today?
Well, you always have to look, you have to figure out where you're going to provide value. So you have to be able to find that alternative deal, right? For a lot of these, it's finding the alternative deal, that alternative way to create the income, the different angle to look at the house. That's the important thing, is you have to, that's how you create more, even more value. That's the third prong of that value, is you have the knowledge, you create the relationship, and then you're able to see things because of the knowledge you have of the industry, and you know what your client needs, and you're able to see things that other people can't, right? That your client can't see, that outsiders can't see, but because of the combination of your experience and your relationship, you can create these opportunities. So like I had a house that we were that one of my clients built, and he wanted to get a very high rent, and it was high. I mean, it was a $45,000 a month rent that he wanted to achieve.
Oh, that's not high. No, I'm
Right,
just kidding.
45 a month. It's nothing. That's more than the medium income of some professions, but it's fine. So, and I thought the house at the time, I was questioning if it was worth quite that much.
Yep.
So what I did was I figured out a way that we could do a master lease to another company, that company would do short-term leases so they could create more money, and then my client was easily able to achieve the lease amount that he wanted, and then that outside company made about double that a month off the house, and everybody ended up being a winner. But my client had no idea this was even an option.
Yeah.
When he said, I just want 45,000 a month for my house, right? Or 50,000 or whatever it is. So you have to be able to create deals and create situations where everybody is a winner.
Yeah.
Right.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. All right. So Nathaniel, all your contact information, the ones that you wish to share with the community, will be in the show notes. Fellow deal makers, man, if you're looking to get into real estate, maybe invest in short-term rentals, and you want to learn how to turn that into a business, my suggestion is always reach out to our guests and say, hey, heard you on the Deal Scout, want to learn more, and maybe teach me how to do what you do. If you're working on a deal and you want to talk about it here on the show and educate us and learn with us, head on over to thedealscout.com, fill out a quick form, and maybe get you on the show next. Till then, we'll talk to you all on the next episode. Bye, everybody.